Hello, I'm JX Editor, and today we're cut away for some reason. Today we're doing a review of Ivan Ortega's The Last Jedi edit. That's not bad. It's only okay though. This will make it better. Not as green as I'd like it. Still better. Like, infinitely better in every way, though.
I feel like your Tormund Giantsbane Teat monologue would also be applicable here.
You want to know why they call me direct? No, I'm not doing. You're the one who said you didn't want me to down this.
No, I don't want you to down it. No. Oh God, don't! For the love of Christ. But next time you do it, try and get a little bit more around the mouth area.
Yeah, it came down this side, but the glass was covering it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah. So hey everyone, I'm Chris, but back by I think popular demand. I don't know. And yeah, as you said, we're reviewing quite a recent well-known fan edit. We had something else planned for this week, or it could have been a couple of weeks ago. I've been very busy, so apologies for the absence on this show. We were going to do, I can't even remember what it was called. Knights of the Old Republic, was it? Or
Knights of the Old Republic, Episode 1, A Familiar Path by Cadence Entry.
Which I was all set to do, and then, I mean, this edit has been pretty big on YouTube. I don't know how many subscribers Ivan Ortega currently has, but he has a lot. He's got a Patreon going. And I sent you an email. I said, well, his cut is meant to go live this Thursday. Let's hope it does. If it does, would you rather do a review on that? And boom, here we are.
Yeah, that pretty much sums that up. Yeah, was it already out when you emailed me about it? Because I didn't end up seeing it until like a day or two after it was out.
I emailed you probably around half hour after he uploaded the video linking it. So I was probably one of the first few that watched it straight off the bat. And then I didn't know if you'd already got it, if you was following it. So I sent you the link in case it got shut down or in case it, fan edits being what they are.
Yeah,
they tend to be taken down, especially with his own live streams as well. With him editing the movie, YouTube's been pretty ruthless as of late, and they've been taking down all of his live streams. So
yeah, I actually attended a couple of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to watch because we keep in the sort of, we keep counsel with a lot of fan editors and that community. We find that fascinating. So I guess it is good to see some insight into it. You actually posted a video on your channel defending Ivan. There was a lot of people out there that have been saying a lot of negative things. Maybe we even agree with some of them. Maybe we don't agree with some of them. But, this has been an edit that has been an incredibly long time coming. Whether this was the result we were hoping for within that time is something that we're going to debate and discuss in this review. But we won't
debate.
Probably not debate.
I kind of agree about that.
Yeah, so I was saying this before we went live, in that you love the original The Last Jedi, untouched as it was made. I hated The Last Jedi. But we're both in agreement with this fan edit, which is actually pretty poetic. We can meet in the middle with our review on this one. If you've been watching,
what it set out to do, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. And if anyone, if you've watched the previous reviews that we've done on all these fan edits that we do bi-weekly, we're going to go through exactly the same criteria that we usually do: originality, which we'll be kicking off with invisibility, complexity, necessity, and movie. Originality.
What was that last one?
Oh, did I say movidity or did I say movie? I don't know.
You said movie. You said movie.
Yeah, it's written as movidity, which I really think should be added to the English dictionary of words because it's a very cool word.
And it fits with the other words we're using.
It does, yeah. So originality, it's as it says, how original is the edit? Does it do anything new? Does it do anything bold? And that's pretty much it. There's probably more terms you could bring to that. Originality. I mean, there were a lot of new scenes that were constructed for this thing. This isn't like a simple case that some other fan edits have done in the past where they say, we want to make this movie in the style of, like the Superman one that we did, Man of Steel, where they literally just rip out the soundtrack, replace it with the old, boost the color in a vain attempt to make it like the original film. This was actually trying to do new things. It was trying to take characters in a new direction. And I guess this will have a knock-on effect with our review later, in that this is more or less completely disregarding what's going to happen for episode 9. you will have to watch this as a separate entity unless he goes in and fan edits episode 9 when that comes out.
Which he said he was going to do when he first introduced that Luke was still alive.
But how do you know until you see the movie? That's the problem. He should have either waited until episode 9 comes out, which would make sense, and then you've got a whole trilogy you can fan edit and mess around with however you want.
This trilogy.
Yeah, publicly. Which I mean, like when you do like your prequel edits and things like that, you know, you still have to preserve certain story elements that have been made in this movie for better or worse, because that's going to carry over into episode 9 unless you just watch this as its own thing. So he is doing new things with characters. He is taking characters in a different direction from how they were portrayed in the original movie. He's keeping characters alive that died within the movie, so he is doing some original things there, but you can only do so much with that. Like, you can't, you know, he's tried to add in voiceover and things like that to help with that, but
invisibility.
Yeah, invisibility, that's going to be a whole other thing. There's going to be some carryover with these things. Originality, I'm going to give, I mean, it's more or less the same movie. There's only some few small bits here and there. I'm going to give it a 5.
Really?
5.5, I'll say, something like that, because inherently you are still maintaining the same material and you are trying to change the characters, but I don't really know how well that was achieved based on how things were handled in terms of things like voiceover and things like that.
I actually give them higher on originality because, well, so, okay. Over a year ago, I started working on, like, the bones of this show.
Yeah.
And so I created the whole, the scoring system. And based off of what I had seen of Ivan Ortega, I made a guess at how it was gonna do. And I really, like, I had faith in Ivan. And overall, it actually ended up with almost a great score. It ended up with a 41.5 on my side alone, which is not what I'm giving it now. Although this one is fairly untouched because it started almost immediately after the movie came out. So it, you know, as far as originality is concerned, while it's just 1 point, it's still 1 point less than I originally gave it. I'm giving it an 8 in originality.
Okay.
I thought it could have gotten a 9.
Wow. Okay. That's maybe 5.5 is a little bit low. I will agree with that.
Did you say 5.5?
I said 5.5, yeah. Maybe that is a bit low. Maybe I'm being a bit mean-spirited with that. But I just think inherently when you see the movie, it is...
I think you're combining originality with complexity a bit.
That might be true. Can I correct my thing to
go for it.
7? I'll give it a 7. I won't quite give it as high as you've given it, but I'll stretch to 7.
Yeah, that's right. So invisibility... How the goal of every editor is to be as invisible as possible. Even Ivan himself said it, and this is going to be a long one because we took notes. He did
countless live streams trying to fine tune everything to try and get all the cuts as invisible with the audio and everything like that. So
yeah, and like I genuinely thought in my original score that this would be higher. Like I really did, because even. Like I said, Ivan said in a video that the goal is to be as invisible as possible. But to assess this, we took notes. I made a whole list, and I ended up with almost a 2-page list of notes. Not of just complaints, by the way. There were compliments in there. There were things that have nothing to do with invisibility. There were just notes. But now I've compiled them down into something a little more manageable. I've organized them and taken out and moved away the parts that are for more movie rather than invisibility. As far as like its new music is concerned, my first gripe I had with it, I think, was fire on the bass at the very beginning. It felt really drowned out by the music he inserted. Then there's the transition between Luke mourning to Kylo, which was great. I think we agree on that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Arguably, it was bad.
I think in terms of shot choice, going from that to then the culprit of who killed Han Solo, like in terms of visuals is great, but the music transition between the two didn't work. Whereas I actually watched your cut that you made, the Coward's cut, where
over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, where you retained the original music of that deleted scene, which then moves into the next scene, and it flows perfectly.
Also, I just want to point out earlier I said I wasn't going to touch these until they were done. And I'm just pointing out that edit isn't really like an official thing that I've done. It's on a website somewhere. I was drunk and I was trying to make a point, and I had dealt with some Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But also, what was with the music at the end of the training montage? Because like it doesn't subtly transition to another piece of music for like 3 seconds and then transitions to another piece of music
Yeah.
almost immediately. It's not great. The montage is great. It's a great montage.
Mm-hmm.
The music, well, at the beginning the music doesn't over the joke leading into it, I don't think the music really fits
Yeah.
tonally.
That's kind of a fault that I have with the original movie, in all honesty, in that it is very totally inconsistent at times, especially regarding Luke Skywalker, where he goes, he has the Jakku line, he goes, okay, that is pretty much nowhere. Like, that doesn't fit his character that we see in that film. The jokes themselves are fine, but they just don't fit that mood and the portrayal of Luke they were going. The other one is the scene that I know you like, where he's training Rey to use the Force, and he has like the little blade of grass that he like smacks a hand with.
Well, that's the joke that the trailer music was playing underneath. And while I
Yeah,
like the joke, tonally it
it
didn't
doesn't
fit with
work.
the
Yeah.
music.
Another thing as well, I kind of harp on this thing that I like with music is leitmotifs. That a piece of music that is tied to a character or place or something like that, where you hear that music, you instantly know what character it's
Like
referring
the
to.
"Give Me Everything" scene is reminiscent of Palpatine, or the music in Canto Bight is kind of similar to
Like Cantina,
the
but yeah.
Cantina.
But with this one, during that training montage scene, he's used a piece of music which then segues into the Kylo Ren theme.
Oh yeah,
As Rey's training, and it doesn't really make any sense because it's not heroic and she's not really showing any tendency to the dark side in that scene like she does in some other aspects where she goes down that hole in the ground. So it just comes across as that he's found this kind of badass sounding track, but he hasn't paid attention to the course that the music goes and how well it's being and how it's being interpreted when it's put to certain images. If it was like a montage that cut between Rey training and Kylo Ren training or something like that, and the music changed when it cut to images of him, then that would make sense. But
that makes sense. Speaking of Kylo Ren training, I saw a clip of somebody using the Praetorian Guard fight to as like a training thing for him. What did you think of, not specifically like if the music fit or how, just the invisibility of like the music transitions and how the if you could hear anything underneath the music during the Praetorian fight?
I think it was a fantastic edit. I think the only problem that you run is that obviously the place is setting on fire and things are kind of coming down. And whilst after effects are added over there, like ash and sparks from the fire are drifting over characters' faces, there isn't any explanation as to where this fire came from when you remove certain elements of the fight.
I was talking about Niven's edit.
Oh, during that. Oh, sorry, during that. Okay.
That was my transition.
Okay.
Segway King.
See this one, and I think I remember watching a stream or something where he bigged this up, where he was saying that, oh, I've got Jewel of the Fates back in the movie now, and I don't think it works from an editing perspective. Like, every Star Wars fan has a hard on for that piece of music from Phantom Menace. Like, it's a great piece of music, and you put that over any Star Wars imagery, and it's instantly badass. But I just don't think the mix of the song that he used felt very weak and fan made, and also he lowered the volume of the background music from the original cut, and he didn't like replace any lightsaber sound effects or anything like that. He just lowered the volume, put the music over the top. I couldn't hear any background music, so I will give him points for that. But that's a scene where you want the impact of those sounds. You want to hear those blades spinning and clashing and everything like that. As it is, you lose a lot of impact. And I think as soon as that music ends, like the scene just drops off a cliff. It just comes out across as very random that song plays there. I don't know. That was my thought on it.
Now, at a low point like that, it would seem like the invisibility portion is done, but it's not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Now on to, because like I said, I broke down my list into different portions. That was the music mostly. Now on to like specific recuts. Poe priming up his X-wing during Hux's monologue. I thought that was done really well.
Yeah.
In spite of liking the phone call joke, I really like the way that it cuts between the two.
Because you still get that thing where he's buying for time. Hux is going off on this massive monologue, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, keep talking, keep talking. Okay, we're good." So it still works in that aspect. And you can imagine Hux would do something like that because he is like this sniveling, whiny, self-important
remaining
character.
systems.
Yeah, I hated the your mum joke because that's not a joke that belongs in Star Wars. It's a joke that's already in itself very old, and it came across as really awkward and funny, and it was really dragged out quite a lot in the original movie. So I'm glad that was done away with. And I actually think that the first part of this movie was fantastic in terms of invisibility and what was changed.
I agree in most, although Battlefront footage in that battle.
Yeah, okay, no, I was going to bring that up in terms of invisibility. That stuck out like a sore thumb, and I don't really understand why that had to be thrown in. It's like a 2-second shot of some POV like X-wing cockpit action, and you really don't need that.
TIE fighter too, right?
Yeah. And it just comes across as completely random. It's a very quick shot. You can instantly tell that the graphics aren't up to the CGI of the original movie. And I just don't. It almost came across to me, if any people watching this who are familiar with the Hobbit films, the GoPro footage during the barrel escape. It sticks out like a sore thumb, and you just don't understand why that needed to be in the movie.
I will say the Battlefront footage does work on Crate with the single shot of it shooting out of the skid speeder shooting out, and it works in the flashback on of like the last. Yeah. I think it did because I think that was like during a cutscene, so it was much better renderings.
Yeah. Yeah, because that one during the opening battle looks like gameplay footage.
It does. It really, really does. Speaking of that opening battle, the audio, whenever he blends audio between two different like scenes, it tends to stick out, or like not two different scenes, but two different shots, and it tends to stick out, especially during battle scenes, because like there's a point where Rose's sister Paige is in her gunner, and then it cuts to the inside of Hux's bridge, but you hear this blaster bolt as though it's in the room, because whatever was going on right after the shot of Paige, it cuts to the battle where that blaster is being shot, so it's not being muffled by anything.
I think I noticed that specifically later on in the movie. I think it was a piece of dialogue of Luke Skywalker, and you could just hear like a fraction of a second of another piece of dialogue that he was about to say.
I know what I know what it might be because I've got it. I actually, after slowing down of shots is really noticeable, which is the next thing I'd say. I have on here, heard the D in the word "end" after "I will teach you the ways of the Jedi."
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the one.
Because I will teach you the ways of the Jedi, and why they need to end was the original line. So you're hearing the D.
Yeah.
There.
And I mean, you've sometimes when you edit, like you won't have headphones in, and you'll just be listening to it through audio from a computer. But sometimes when you do put earphones in or headphones, you'll hear stuff that you didn't even hear beforehand, and you've got to be really meticulous with that stuff. Especially if you're using an audio transition, you've got to make sure that you've got enough space between the cuts where you're not going to pick up any of that audio either side of the cut you've made. And like it's very, very small, but as we do a lot of editing, we know about this stuff. If you show this to like casual moviegoer, they're not even going to notice that. But we will notice stuff like that. So I did definitely pick that out. Another thing, and this might be tied into the audio more, which I know we've already talked about, but some of the new voiceover that was provided for Luke Skywalker, the audio continued into a shot of Luke Skywalker where he didn't have his mouth open. And he was just stood there, and it was just like the small little back end of the audio, but he was still on screen. So it didn't match that way. And it wasn't like a voiceover that was meant to be over anything like a montage. This was actual dialogue within that scene. And transitions as well, or invisibility. The voice actor they got to do the voice for Akbar and for Luke Skywalker, he would throw this voiceover in between actual audio from Mark Hamill, and it stuck out like a sore thumb to me. It immediately jumped out to me. Unless they got someone who was, A, on the money, perfect impression of Mark Hamill.
Or B, Mark Hamill.
But yeah, you know what? I think he would have done it. If he wasn't somehow contractually obligated to Lucasfilm, I think he would.
I agree with what you just said, because I know that Ivan at one point did reach out.
Yeah.
But also, I just realized that I have voice acting under its own category.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's why it didn't come up in the audio thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other invisibility.
Oh, do you need some help?
Yeah, go on. Hit me up with some more.
So I guess this is arguably movie, but on Canto Bight, when they say we need to find the guy with the red flower thing, and then you cut to Champagne, and then they're like,
"Oh, hello. Do we still have JXE? He is frozen on mine, and awkwardly he is hosting the show. Oh,
what?
Hello? You froze there for about a good solid 10 or more seconds.
I kept hearing you.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened there. Can you go back? You mentioned that it's the red flower guy, and then it cuts to Champagne, and that's where you cut out.
Yeah, it's the red flower. Are we still live?
You've dropped quality a bit and a bit slower, but I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot the actual thing open. Okay, yeah. There's me cutting out. Sorry about that. Technical difficulty. They happen. Anyway, yeah. It cuts from we need to find the guy with the red flower thing. Wow, yeah. My quality is gone.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened.
Same. But it happened. And now we live with it. They cut from the flower thing to Champagne opening to them saying we've looked everywhere. There is a metric shit ton of Canto Bight B-roll in the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
That like really could have just been put between that to show like a passage of time. I don't know. Does that count as invisibility or as movie?
It can blend into both, can't it? And that's a filmmaking thing, you know. Like if you're gonna have people say we need to search around this room and it's a big room, you can there's a number of things you can do. You can either cut away to another scene and then cut back because that simulates a passage of time. You can do some creative things with the editing, with things, you know, to show like approaching people and walking around and reaction shots to show that passage of time. Or, you know, you could do any number of those things to show that, you know, time's gone. But yeah, that did kind of, you could tell that he just cut it down to bare bones, but it doesn't really flow well. It's literally like they walk to one side of the room and go, well, we looked everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, I haven't seen all of the Canto Bight B-roll footage or deleted scenes or whatnot, so I don't know what featured there.
I turned it on. I have really, after, you know, before I ripped the disc, I only watched the deleted scenes once.
Yeah.
You know, to decide that I wanted to rip the disc. Shit. That was subtle. And so I sat through the whole thing once, but I probably wasn't paying attention because it was just B-roll. But there's a lot of it. And it's not because it's all puppets and effects, and it's practical, so it's not really something they needed to be non-liberal with.
Yeah. But there's also some scenes in here which I just question why they're in the movie entirely, and maybe this isn't invisibility again, but the scene on Canto Bight where Finn and Rose run to the balcony and see the Favias, like they don't actually feature beyond that initial scene of them seeing them. There's no chase throughout Canto Bight, so you could remove that scene entirely. Maybe they need it because I know BB-8 rolls out and then they sort of like urgently run back in.
Yeah, of course. So that's why it needs to be there.
Or maybe you could have the scene where, you know, you could throw some B-roll in. You could have the audio of Rose saying, you know, red lapel bloom or whatever that she says, and then just cut to the guy. Like you could probably cut around it in a certain way.
Or cut to Finn. By the way, can we just talk about how much John Boyega points?
Yeah, he does. I'm thinking of Poe's conversation where he's describing the plan. Get on board the ship.
Yeah, like he does a lot of pointing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could have just been them looking, and then you could cut to Finn pointing and saying red is it red palm bloom or
Palm
something?
bloom, that's it. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I guess it's a combination of a flower and a palm tree.
Yeah.
Makes sense, actually. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Cut to the transports refueling. Oh, yeah, that was abrupt. Between when the removal of the hope is like the sun line is abrupt.
Which scene is that? I haven't watched the original movie all that many
Uh,
times.
can it, lady, tell us that there's a plan, that there's hope?
I don't remember that line.
It's when Poe finds out that they're refueling the transports.
Oh, okay.
And Holdo says, "When I served under Leia, she told me hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you see it, you'll never make it through the night."
Right. Okay.
Which one? Great line. I don't know why it was cut. I guess it was because they didn't want he didn't want Holdo to say as wanted Holdo to say as little as she could
Mm-hmm.
because
I mean,
she's
I
gone.
don't like the character. This might be a movie again, but I don't like the character of Holdo at all. And he's cut her down to maybe 2 scenes in this movie, but those 2 scenes, she's utterly point. There is no point in her character at all in this movie. Again, you could cut her out. Either have her in there and diminish the effects of her, or just remove her entirely. They're your 2 options. So
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of remnants in there, and this might be invisibility in that, because it did stick out to me, maybe because I've watched the original movie, like I know the original movie and which scenes have been cut for the most part, apart from that one line you just mentioned there. So I don't know. I just question is he could have cut this down considerably, and I do think there is a way, because as an editor, there is always a way to do something. It could be really needlessly complex, but if you think outside the box, if you sit on it, if you mull over it for a while, there is always a way to get around something.
There is.
And I think he could have done a lot more with it. In all honesty.
Do you want to remove the entire Bespin storyline from Empire Strikes Back? You can.
Yeah.
I've done it. Coming next year. Probably. Or 2 years from now. Who fucking knows?
Do you have any more notes on invisibility? Because I'm struggling to think of anything.
Yeah, I do.
You take the stage.
Okay. There's no explanation as to why Luke's lightsaber is out when Ben wakes up.
Is it already automatically out? I couldn't even remember.
You can see the reflection of it in his eyes. You can see the glow off to the side.
Well, he was just walking in to kill him, right? Because with this new thing with the flashback, Kylo Ren had already committed a bunch of atrocities beforehand, so he was going.
Oh, was that what was happening? I don't think that's what he was going for. I think that because I think all those atrocities were like what was going to happen. I don't.
But I thought that's what. Like, Luke saw this vision. He knew that Kylo Ren was out there, like, conquering planets or whatever the fuck he was doing. I don't even know. And he saw that he would kill Han and everything like this, so that he went in to finish the job. He was like, okay, all this bad shit's happening. This guy's doing it. This is what he's going to do. I need to put a stop to this. So that's how I read that scene.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what Ivan was going for, considering everyone else's thoughts on that scene. When I say everyone else's, I mean everybody who watches Ivan. Their thoughts on that scene.
Like, I think the original concept of that scene is that, he's seen darkness in him, so he's going to end it, and then as soon as he has that idea, he regrets it, and then that's when Kylo Ren sees him and realizes that he was about to turn on him. In this, you're taking that same concept, but you're having it where Luke doesn't just have an inkling or like a vague idea that Kylo Ren is going to the dark side. He has seen Kylo Ren has already done a bunch of these things, so he has more of a reason to go in and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Which still paints Luke in a very questionable light, and I think he was...
It's more questionable than what other people were complaining about.
The intention of this edit, specifically for Ivan, was to kind of claw Luke back to the heroic figure that he was at the end of Return of the Jedi. But with the material in the movie, you just can't do that, and he still has very down and dour moments in this film.
Oh yeah, he very, very, and like it's less justified now.
Yeah, and again, like getting to the end, we're moving into like other stuff, so I'm gonna like rein it back in.
Yeah,
like,
fair enough.
Get to the movie, if you want to carry on with some more of your invisibility stuff.
Shot of the skid piece. The transition from Luke's return to Ahch-To after he fades away. and then back to Leia and Rey reacting.
Yeah.
The music transition was kind of abrupt, which makes sense. It was fairly epic music transitioning to something much more somber because Luke was dying.
Yeah.
And then I went on to visual effects. Well, not visual effects, but no, yeah, visual. Looks like. Yeah. Kylo's scar in the deleted scene inserted at the beginning was really well done. It didn't look flat because there was the shot of everyone escaping that was, and then followed by Kylo looking out a window, which is a deleted scene. And the scene is supposed to take place between Rey leaving and Rey arriving, so he's waiting for her. So he didn't have the carbon fiber scar. Instead, it was patched up.
Right. Okay.
Now it's not, but in this scene, it's done with it's inserted with the fiber.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like. I don't know if it is carbon fiber.
Mm-hmm.
Luke's lightsaber on Crate, well, fucking badass. Let's just, that's awesome. But it does look a little flat at times. And also, specifically in close-ups, I can still see portions of the Legacy saber or Rey's saber or Luke's saber, whatever you want to call it, the blue one.
Mm-hmm.
Still, either way, it's nice to see the old girl in action. And what was really well done was when he turns off the lightsaber, like the saber does this with a 2D image.
Yeah.
How do you even accomplish that? Morph cuts probably, but still well done on. I think the person who did it was immersive VFX. I think they're called. And then onto my notes about the voice acting. The way I put it, Skywalker voice acting sounds less like Mark Hamill and more like a guy doing a pretty good Mark Hamill impression. Someone tell Akbar to get a pop filter. The lip syncing isn't great. Akbar's lines aren't particularly great, but that's more movie.
I did want to bring that up. The script writing on the lines was very clunky.
Yeah, I think some of Luke's wisdom was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, Luke's voice acting was pretty good at the start of the training montage, I think it is. But then, like, by the end, it ended up sounding not great.
I think it's because I agree with that, and I think I had the same thing where, like, a couple of little lines here, little phrases there were fine, but the monologue goes on for quite a while, so you get used to that new voice, and it snaps back to Mark Hamill, and it's like, whoa, okay, this sounds wildly different. I did have that.
And the end the line that replaces "It's time for the Jedi to end" was a bit hard to understand.
Yeah,
and not just like from like just a hearing him perspective, but also like how does him being on the island help bring Ben back?
Yeah,
but that's in movie. I have a second comment on that in movie. Starting wisdom, the wisdom at the end of the deleted party scene with the and then everyone celebrates. That was okay, I guess. You need to maintain balance. That's another route that scene could have taken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the Battlefront footage looks better. The flashback. Yeah. Wait. Why the hell? Yeah. The Impressionist during the Ben flashback didn't have like the same intensity as Mark Hamill. I don't think he was as close to the mic as he wanted to be, and it definitely stood out.
I have one more note on invisibility.
Okay. And we should probably remember to score it now that I think about it.
Yes, we should. The deleted scenes that were added in dropped frames and looked very stuttery compared to the rest of the footage.
And sounded a little compressed.
Yeah. So they were very juddery to watch, which was very distracting. At first, I thought it was my internet and like the stream itself, but then I saw a lot of other people commenting on it, so I knew that it wasn't just me. Invisibility, I'm going to give it a 4. Honestly, like I've got to rank this low because like this is the longest we've ever gone on about invisibility.
That's a really excellent point. I'm not going to go so low because
don't get me wrong. There are some great things in there, like the lightsaber you mentioned. There are some fantastic moments in it, but I definitely think there are more bad things than good that I can take away from the invisibility from this thing.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of things not mentioned because there, just general invisibility was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna also I'm not gonna go so low because I think I'm a little bit biased, towards this. So I'm not gonna go as so low as 4, but I think I'm gonna compare. I thought it was going to have a 9 in invisibility. I'm giving it a 6.5.
Okay. I will say, like the whole lightsaber thing looked great, but you said that
It looks great.
he outsourced that to a separate company. So how much of this stuff is Ivan Ortega? I think all of the bad invisibility in this edit is from Ivan.
Oh, I don't know about
Some
that. I'm
great
not gonna
visual
guess
effects work.
because
Some great visual effects work is from like another company. Like I know he's overseeing the project. Ivan is still overseeing the project and everything.
shut up.
But yeah, no, I'm ranking it low on this one because a lot stood out to me.
Not
So,
you, by the way.
poor rotoscoping, bad voiceover for the most part, audio transitions here and there, audio dialogue clipping in between scenes, or out of place video game footage. There was a lot in there that I can say was bad.
I would say the Akbar rotoscoping wasn't that bad. It was just the fact that it wasn't particularly well blended.
Yeah. And he's in like the Return of the Jedi outfit, which wasn't the outfit that he's in that movie, so that does kind of stick out a little bit more as well.
Hey, he could have changed. Maybe he got blood on the other one during the explosion that he was in the middle of.
Yeah. Let's move on because we've talked invisibility a whole lot, and we still have a lot more to talk about. Complexity of the edit. I would actually go pretty high on this one because I do think that there are some bold things that he is trying to change in there. He is going above and beyond. He is trying to, get rotoscoping in there and change the course of characters. And I think he is doing quite a lot. When you're bringing things in like rotoscoping and voice acting, like your edit's pretty complex. Like you're not just working entirely within the footage that you have. I'm going to give complexity a 7, 7.5. I'm going to say so. I am going to go high on this one. Not a lot else to say that we haven't already said, but I do think the initial concept of his edit is a bold one, and the things that he went to get this done. The fact that, and this might be a mark against it actually, so maybe I will drop it down to a 7, like flat out, is that he did promise us a big lightsaber fight scene between Luke and Kylo Ren.
It'll come allegedly.
Yeah, it won't, but it was promised us for a long time, and had that have actually been done and put together and integrated into the movie, and it looked great, yeah, I'm trying to think of the word.
Choreography?
Yeah, like the choreography of the fight, like going to those extents to plan out a fight and act it out and dress like the characters and integrate it with special effects and everything like that. That is a very complex thing to do. And had that been in the movie, that would have definitely boosted the points. The fact that that isn't in the movie, I am going to dock it points for that.
Really? For complexity, you'd say?
Well, yeah, because I mean, like,
yeah, I hear you. I actually
know what you mean. And planning a fight and going over it, the moves, and filming it and getting all the angles and then integrating it into the actual movie. That's some impressive stuff.
All the angles, he has 2.
Well, here's the thing. So I brought this up to you, and I thought he was going to record like a full-on fight scene. Actually, this is going to kind of beneficial now with the reimagined scene 38 of, A New Hope with the Obi-Wan Vader scene, which is fantastic, by the way. On YouTube, you can watch that. And I think he saw that and realized where the bar was now set in terms of recreating a fight scene like that and what can be done. And maybe he got a little bit jealous. Maybe he got a bit sad that his fight wouldn't look as good as that or something like that. I don't know. But I know that he said that a lot of behind the scenes things have gone on between him and his friend, and, things have happened in his life, which make it very difficult for him to meet up with this guy now. But apparently he's still saying that the fight will come. So I don't know.
Hey, I believe him. So quit giving me shit for not personally liking him. I kid. I mean, I don't, but
But yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a flat out 7. I think.
Yeah. Okay, well, 7. All right. Well, 8 is usually a score that I give an edit that goes above and beyond without completely overhauling the story. This kind of, sort of goes above and beyond, even touching the story, but mostly still tells the same one.
Yeah.
It doesn't go crazy with it. I also would give it a 7. However, I'll grant it the extra half point just for the voice acting.
Okay, that's fair enough. So then we have necessity. Was this an edit that needed to be made? You know what? I'm going to say it is. I'm going to go high on this one as well. There was a lot of backlash that came out between with The Last Jedi after its release, and is probably the most debated and divisive film, maybe in the entire Star Wars saga. Actually, so obviously you did have that camp of people that were very unhappy with The Last Jedi, that did want to see all these changes, that did want to see certain characters like how they remembered them. They weren't happy with where certain plot points were just sort of cut off, where expectations were subverted, which is a phrase that has now been coined and used a whole lot, especially with Game of Thrones.
I'll use it as a joke. I can play along.
Same. So, necessity, I do think that there was an outcry for an edit of this movie to be made. Since this time, there are probably, in fact, I don't know how many edits out there are of The Last Jedi. I expect there's quite a lot that people have made, whether officially released or unofficially released. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go a 9 on this. I do think there are a lot of problems with The Last Jedi. I do think it pissed off a lot of people.
I expected us to differ in this one.
So yeah, I think this is where it's going to tip the scale, maybe. So I'm going to give it a 9 on this one.
So while I love The Last Jedi, I recognize how certain audiences felt about it, how a portion of the fan base felt about it. This was definitely a necessity a year ago.
I would say this has torn the Star Wars fan base in half.
It hasn't.
You don't think? Like with Solo as well? Like for me, like I'm sort of I'm done with Star Wars, but I need a long break from Star Wars.
I wouldn't mind a bit of a break too. I'm appreciating the break after 9, but I really don't think it's torn the fan base in half. Okay. I think it's torn the internet fan base in half.
Okay.
But Star Wars is bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you actually look at like the reviews on Rotten Tomato, it says it's half, but then you got to point out the fact that only less than 1% of the fan base actually reviewed on Rotten Tomato. But then it's supposed to be representative. But then you've got to take into account that the DVD sales were #1 last year, so you got to wonder, well, does that represent it actually? And so I don't pretend I know how much of the fan base liked this movie.
Yeah.
But I know that there was a large portion that didn't. And so this last year, when I made my predictions on how this was going to do, I gave it a 7 as far as necessity was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's been a fucking year, and I felt like that necessity has gone down a bit. So it's getting a 6 from me.
That's fair enough. As a side note, I've just had a thought. I was just thinking about a possible edit when all 3 of these movies are out. I don't believe they've stated the time difference between episode 8 and 9, but 8 picks up right after where 7 ends. Like you see those prequel edits out there where they combine all 3 of them into one, but there are...
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I don't know where that came from.
But there are considerable edits out there that do that, but there is a significant time jump between episode 1 and 2, and then, a 3-year jump between 2 and 3. This one, if 9 picks up relatively close to the end of 8, I think you could possibly merge this into one solid movie.
Skywalker, after Kenobi, I'm doing an edit of the original trilogy called Skywalker, which is going to be one movie. And as you can imagine, after episode 9 comes out, that's going to be the sequel to this.
Yeah. But not even that. Like,
I'm replying to the chat. Sorry.
That's cool. Like, I think you could cut a lot out of The Force Awakens and maybe have the attack on Starkiller Base be your end of Act 1 big action scene, if you sort of strip it back a little bit, maybe, and then you go into episode 8. So if there's a lot you could cut out of episode 8, we won't know until we see episode 9. That's kind of what I did when I was editing the Hobbit films. When I went to see Battle of the Five Armies, I was already working on a version of my edit at that point. So that's how far mine goes back. And I went in with an editor's mind thinking, what can I remove out of this film? Where can I position this film? What cuts can I make? And you know what? I'll probably be doing the same with episode 9 as well.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that even when seeing The Last Jedi, I'm like, okay, how do I... But I try not to do that on a first viewing.
Yeah.
Because then you're you're looking at it through a critical mind, an analytical mind, and I feel like first impression has a big role in when it comes to like no matter how smart a movie is.
Yeah.
If you didn't like it the first time, odds are you're not going to like it the second time. Odds are you're not going to like it the third time.
Like if you're hacking episode 7 to pieces, the first scene that you get rid of it is the Rathtar scene.
No, the first scene that you
because you have Han getting on board, Chewie, we're home, and then you have them flying straight to Maz Kanata's. The only thing you'd have to explain is how Chewie got a bandage on his arm.
Yeah, that could happen on the planet.
That cuts out about 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and you could arguably make Maz's castle take place on the Elenium system. But then you gotta wonder why do they need her help in the first place. Speaking of which, did you ever see the deleted scene that didn't even make it to the DVD of Han, and Han and Finn and Chewie in the basement of Maz's place talking to the stormtroopers?
No, I didn't see that.
They're just like, hey, surrender in the name of Supreme Leader Snoke. And he's like, Smoke. Han Solo, Smoke. Do we know a Smoke? Snoke, you idiot. Supreme Leader Snoke. Well, what makes him so supreme? Why were these movies comedies? I'm not complaining, but why did Thor Ragnarok probably had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Force Awakens came out first, but still.
And we got to pander to the kids because kids love dumb comedy. Kids love Tom Hardy dressed as a stormtrooper speaking in a Texan accent in an elevator with Finn.
That was an
awful scene. That was awful.
That was deleted in.
Was
that deleted? Was that deleted?
That was a deleted scene. Yeah.
All right. I honestly, for whenever I make a fan edit of, whenever I do like cut footage or just a quick edit of The Last Jedi, I have an extended edition that's a fan edit somebody did, and so it already has all the deleted scenes on it. So I don't really use like the original for source file that much.
Yeah. We should probably move on to our final topic then of our review, which is movie or movidity as it's written.
There you go.
Oh boy, this is going to be a doozy. Where do we even start with this one? We could do an entire stream just on this section alone. I'm going to go into rough bullet points because I know that you've got notes. Things that I dislike about the movie. Oh boy, here we go. So it's going back to what I've said, but stuff like Holdo in the movie is very stripped back to the point where she's not even required in the movie, but you watch it and you are missing a lot. You need to find that balance between that. Leia being so she gets blown out into space and then all of a sudden, boom, she's in a hospital bed and she's completely fine. Now, whilst I do hate the quote unquote Mary Poppins scene of Leia flying through space, watching this current version of the edit, that is kind of essential to say how she got back there unscathed, because you don't see any kind of rescue party going out into space purely because there is no footage to supply for that.
But you do see Finn, Poe, and was it Rose looking out the window?
But also you have to think, how would anyone survive an explosion and being pulled out into space like that without some kind of magical intervention? That's just how I see it. I don't know.
Always go back to Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think what else that I particularly disliked about this movie. I mean, it does kind of just roll at the same pace and beats as the original movie,
which
of course
it really doesn't.
You don't think it does?
Yeah, I mean, the same... No, because one, I felt like a lot of the deleted scenes that were added in there didn't really have much of a point. I felt like a lot of them were there for just padding the runtime back to cinematic, back to feature length.
I liked the Finn one with BB-8's recording. I thought that was well placed and essential, and I did like Luke's other lesson.
Yeah, but then there's the one of Paige's gun jamming, and even arguably the one of BB-8 showing the recording. Like, it really could have just been him saying, "I'm not in the mood, BB-8." It cuts to a different angle, and then it cuts back to him showing the recording.
That's true.
We don't really need him trying to entertain Finn. But then there's the one in the hallway with the jacket, which while a nice scene, touching moment between two people who I agree might have deserved some more scenes together.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really a point to the scene besides summing up the last movie.
Yeah. I don't mind stuff like that, though, honestly, like, because I like when they're not blatant callbacks, when it's a character moment like that, which it was in episode 7 with the exchange of the jacket. I don't mind that, and I'm glad that that was referenced. Movie stuff for me, it's mostly to do with Luke, in that the intention of this was to bring him to some kind of like higher level, like a more benevolent, like the Luke we saw in episode 6. And I really don't think it does. The material you have to work with in the movie is a very down on his luck, dour Luke, and that's kind of what you've got to run with. And honestly, like, I'm gonna say this, I don't have a problem with a dour Luke. I really don't. I think that Mark Hamill is easily the best thing in the movie, the original, and obviously the carryover into this one with his performance.
And even if you do have a problem with that, you got to admit that was done well, whether you like that or not.
Yeah, no, it totally was. And watching this movie,
actually, you don't got to admit that. That's your opinion.
Watching this movie, and it's exactly the same as I had watching the theatrical cut as well of The Last Jedi, is that the most interesting stuff in the movie is the stuff between Rey and Luke and Kylo. That's the best. Every time it cuts to that, I want just a movie of that stuff. You could have had a 2-hour movie just with their dialogue, just with their scenes and their back and forth, and establishing that relationship and that triangle between the three of the characters. Every time it cuts back to Finn, I instantly remember why I hate this movie. Finn is a completely pointless character. Rose is a pointless character. All of their story is very tonally inconsistent with everything that transpires with Luke, Rey, and Kylo and Snoke. So I'd have been ruthless with this thing. I would have cut out Finn entirely, or I think you mentioned a cut. I don't know if it was your own cut where Finn doesn't even appear until the very end of the film.
Yeah, he in that edit that I made drunk that really isn't as good as you think it is. People who are watching who have seen it, that Finn wakes up later. He's barely in it. He barely doesn't sacrifice himself. You gotta wonder why he's even in the movie at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in that movie because he's in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would finish what you're saying and score it.
There's still a lot of problems that I have with the movie, but that's kind of where my thoughts stem from the original. I applaud of what he tried to do with this and try to bring new things in there, but I don't think he stuck the landing with a lot of the new things he tried to do. Maybe in his own mind, the creator of this, you are biased with it because it is your creation and you know the idea that you want, but that's not necessarily what audience members. We've already disagreed about an interpretation of a scene that was probably very concrete in Ivan's mind, but we've already got differing opinions on it, which does definitely influence a character in the movie. So I don't know how well he got that across in some scenes. And, as I mentioned with Luke, I don't think it is the Luke that we saw in episode 6, like he touted when he was making his edit.
Well, I have a question. Have we even seen this Luke?
Have we seen this Luke? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, like, even like down on his luck, bummed out, time for the Jedi to end Luke is comparable to earlier original trilogy Luke. It's very kind of bitchy farm boy Luke, and it's a regressed state similar to with Han. I've noticed that honestly, all the original trilogy characters went completely different completely different directions as the EU.
Yeah.
I should say Legends now. Because in Legends, Han was a stay-at-home dad, Leia trained to become a Jedi, and Luke had a thriving Jedi Academy. In this, the Jedi Academy fails, Han goes back to smuggling, and Leia becomes a military leader.
Yeah.
And doesn't become a Jedi.
Mm-hmm. So, as a movie, I'm going to give it... God.
You gave it a 5 earlier before we even recorded.
I'm going to stick to a 5. It's very middle of the road. This is a shorter version of The Last Jedi. I do like the changes that were made at the very beginning of the film. I thought the initial action scene flowed a lot better. The bombers are still the most worthless vehicles in the Star Wars saga at this point, but he definitely does lessen the effects of that.
What is wrong with them, honestly? Like, they're clunky, so they're slow, but they drop things.
What's wrong with Y-Wings?
They wouldn't have worked against a dreadnought.
Why?
Because they drop one bomb at a time.
Send a lot of Y-Wings out.
They didn't have a lot of Y-Wings.
Then why construct a bomber ship where you breathe on it and it goes up like the Hindenburg? And flying them all close together where one TIE fighter will crash into
that's
it,
stupid.
which will cause a chain reaction with all of them.
Yeah, no, you should position, like, bomber ships are like mines. You should position them so they don't destroy each other by accident.
I get that they were going for the World War II imagery, but bombs would just float in space because there's no gravity.
No. I gotta shoot that one down whenever somebody brings it up. We see Paige fall off the ladder, so there's some form of simulated downward gravity in the ship, and they fall out of the ship.
Okay, that's a fair point. Okay. I do think, no, the first half of the movie did move at a great pace. I was into it. It's then when the cut started becoming very visible for me with the voiceover things, that's where it kept taking me out and kept reminding me that, oh no, I am watching an edit, and I couldn't watch it as a film in itself. And also, I just think the film's really kind of boring. And I think most of that, you have your intense character stuff with, the Luke side of the story and Rey, and then it will cut back to pointless shit. And there's a lot of pointless shit in this movie. So wait until episode 9 comes out, do an epic cut, probably have a massive shuffle around and cut a lot of stuff out. And, maybe I will like the sequel trilogy as a single continuation film. As it stands, I'm giving it a 5, split down the center. I don't think this was the prolific fan edit of episode 8 that was promised or as it was touted. And in all honesty, I think someone out there could probably do a darn sight better. Yes, you have the green lightsaber, which looks cool. You have a great opening to the movie, but that does not good fan edit make. So I'm giving it split down the middle.
Well, interesting. It cut me off guard at the end there. I'm fairly. I disagree with you on. You give this a 5. How does that compare to The Last Jedi? How would you? If you had to score it out of 10,
God,
4, 3,
probably be a 4 because there's a lot of heinous shit that goes down in The Last Jedi, mostly at Canto Bight. I know you really like Canto Bight. I can't stand Canto Bight.
I'd love to go to Canto Bight. I see what people are talking about with Canto Bight, but I have a fucking blast there, so it doesn't really matter to me.
The Favia's scene, the fucking.
I can argue against with the Farthier scene. I'm not going to because this we're not going to get anywhere in this podcast. This review will be another hour long.
The fucking kids.
Shuk Malnuk, Abalantia, Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master.
And
that's what the black kid says.
And all the chicks that watch immediately drop their pants.
That kid's like 8. What the fuck?
The your mom joke and stuff like that, like just stuff that was really out of place in Star Wars, and I really didn't appreciate. Rose is fucking. That's how we're gonna win by saving the ones we love. Shit like that. So yeah, I'd probably give The Last Jedi a 4. This I'm giving a 5 because it's at least cut some of that stuff out.
Can I just say with the save the ones we love speech? I think that line could have been better if the line before it were different.
I think it would have been an okay line had the situation been different.
Hear me out. So I told you earlier there are like 8 things I would change about The Last Jedi to make it perfect, 10 out of 10. One of them is a conversation on Canto Bight where Finn is like, I'm sorry I was going to abandon the fleet for Rey, but are you going to seriously tell me you wouldn't have done the same thing to save your sister? Mm-hmm. And so if instead of I saved you, dummy, she said, you were right, I would have saved Paige, cut, that's how we're going to win. Not fighting the ones we hate, but saving the ones we love. That's a better way to do that line, I think.
Saving the ones we love. What does she think that Finn was trying to do? And then it
wasn't going to accomplish it. I don't think it was going to accomplish anything.
Right after that scene, the battering ram cannon like almost obliterates the door and everyone inside.
I'm sorry, that name is dumb.
He was trying to save the ones he loved by sacrificing himself. That's the antithesis of what he was trying to do. And then she stops him from doing that, and then everyone almost died inside. So congratulations, Rose. You're absolutely useless in this saga. Yeah, no, I have a lot of problems with The Last Jedi, which I have talked about on a review and continue to talk about in my day-to-day life in debates such as this between the film, which is fine. It's good to have debates. It's good to have differing opinions. But yeah.
I've said this a number of times. I don't necessarily agree with what Rose did, but I agree she'd have done it.
Yeah.
Considering, and why did she have to do it? To save John Boyega's contract. Like,
hopefully not set up for an awkward love triangle in episode 9.
I mean, it's Love Square.
Oh yeah, because Poe gets in on the mix, doesn't he? Yeah, that's true.
Or you want to throw in some Reylo, Love Pentagon.
Yeah.
Honestly, Reylo might be a thing. I genuinely, it's on there.
They had a thing. She kind of like did that awkward like little girl thing where she was like, "You put a shirt on, please." Like she got really nervous and shit.
I wasn't. She didn't seem nervous in that scene. She just seemed kind of annoyed.
See, I thought she seemed awkward. Like she was trying to be annoyed, but she was also really turned on by him, so she was really confused. It came across as very confusing in the film.
Maybe.
And very shocking, because in the first movie, I did not expect Kylo Ren to be buff, and he is. So fair play, guys, can hit in the gym.
You didn't watch Girls. Neither did I, but you know. Yeah. So I give this one for movie. I give it a fairly similar review as you. I gave it a 5.5.
And what would you give the original movie?
Either an 8 or a 9, maybe an 8.5, I guess.
Damn.
Oh yeah, it's up. This is my second favorite Star Wars movie. Empire.
Okay.
It felt. This edit felt shallow. And I'm not like a white girl shallow, but like whether you agree with what it's saying or not, The Last Jedi goes deep. Like, no matter your thoughts on the context, it does what it sets out to do, and it says what it wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
This, however, Canto Bight just kind of happens. Ben just suddenly turns to the dark side, and Luke feels indirectly responsible. It doesn't pack the weight of its source material. Mm-hmm. And that's not a fault of Ivan or his ability. It's just the fact that Ivan didn't like what The Last Jedi said, so he set out to change that. And he does, but he can only do it so much.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, this gets a 5.5 for me as far as full score goes.
But now it's left it in a very awkward state going into episode 9.
Yeah. And I have more notes on that. I have, like, the things I took. Keep going.
No, I mean, it's just left it in an awkward state. Like, episode 9 could come out, and he could look at that film and go, there is no way I can possibly fan edit this in context of what I did on episode 8.
Yeah.
Like, because Luke is going to show up in episode 9. We know this. He's going to be a Force ghost. So how...
Well, no one's ever really gone.
But either so, like, at the end of this film, like, Luke's still alive. The final shot is him looking at Binary Sunset. And then the next movie you get, and he's just a Force ghost all the way through. How do you explain that? What happened?
Yeah.
This is what I mean. There are some things that he should have retained.
Yeah.
That being one of them that, that was a death scene. Because when I first watched it, I thought his original intention was that Luke goes to Crate. He is physically on Crate as himself.
Like I do in my drunk thing.
And sacrificed himself there. That's how I thought it was going to go down. So imagine my surprise when the hologram scene the astral projection scene, still happened. And I was like, oh, okay, he's going to do exactly what the original film did.
Mm.
But so then why not put Luke's death in there? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Also, just some notes I took while doing this, while I watched. After the Where's Rey, he wipes to the island.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally, no big deal, but I think the hard cut worked better. If Luke is so hell-bent on turning Ben back to the light, why doesn't he let Rey go?
Yeah.
Why does Luke suddenly want to burn down the temple? I assume Holdo died on one of the transports.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I remember at one point there were supposed to be Obi-Wan lines over Rey hearing about her parents.
I remember hearing that too.
Like he used Ewan McGregor at first, and then he used Alec Guinness, and then I heard he hired an actor.
Yeah,
but I guess that's, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's somebody.
Was he inferring from that then that Rey was going to be the daughter of Obi-Wan or granddaughter or something? Or
I think that's what he was trying to imply, because he was saying like, don't give in to hate that leads to the dark side, which is from Empire.
Wait, it would be granddaughter, wouldn't it? Because 30 years on, Rey is not 30 years old, so
yeah, so it would have to be granddaughter, something like that.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna hear a little bit more about that in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
But if we don't, it's really no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
This is something. This is a kind of a joke, but it's a pretty good point. As neat of an idea as it was, it's probably for the best Disney didn't do what Ivan did with Admiral Akbar, because for something like this, where the scene was already there and you've got something to inspire what he did, that's cool. But it probably would have. He's heard this. He knows where I'm going with this. It would have inspired some pretty bad press if the alien named Akbar flew his ship into the enemy.
But would make for some very fucking good memes.
Oh my god, I see the memes coming already. There better be some fucking memes by this edit. I'm talking to you, D Punk. That's the guy in the chat. Hi, D Punk. But also on a more serious note about that, there was really no emotional weight with Akbar's sacrifice besides the fact that he's a character from another movie.
Because there's not enough footage to work with him. You want to keep him alive. He shows up because you do a bit of rotoscoping, and then he goes, right, I'm now going to go away and leave it in charge to someone else. So
yeah, he spent almost the entire film on the main cabin.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Admiral Akbar is a great character in Return of the Jedi because he's a
fan. No, he isn't.
No, fans love Admiral Akbar. He stands out. He's memorable. But in the sequel trilogy, like, he's barely in it. He's in like some background shots. So you're not gonna. Old-time fans are gonna have that connection to Admiral Akbar, and might have some connection to him doing it in this fan edit. But in the grand scheme of things, like Admiral Akbar, like you could just have him getting blown out into space. Would I have liked Admiral Akbar to carry on and do this in the actual movie? Yes, if that was the original intention, then sure. I didn't like Holdo as a character. I think had she been written better and it wasn't completely dumb that she was keeping everyone out of the loop, then, maybe that sacrifice would have been better. But I think it was a mistake sacrificing a character like that was just introduced in episode 8. I think if it was a character who was more long-standing, then obviously you would have that more emotional weight behind that sacrifice.
Yeah, I have no intention of ever like removing Holdo, but if I ever did an edit that did, I know exactly what I'd do, and it would involve using the deepfake shit that I think fucking my headphones keep falling off because I'm an idiot. But if I would cast a different actor to green screen and I'd paint around Holdo.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just her edges, so she's easier to hide as opposed to just completely hiding her.
Mm-hmm.
And replace her with Wedge Antilles.
Yes. Why isn't Wedge in these movies? Oh yeah, because Disney don't give a shit about the old cast.
No, because that actor wasn't interested.
No, I met him and I went up to him and I said, like, would you like to be in the sequel trilogy? He says, like, I haven't had a phone call.
Really? I heard somewhere that he had talked to someone about it, and they were like, and he was like, I'm not interested. But if that's the case, interesting.
Because he's related to Ewan McGregor, isn't he? Is he?
Yes, he's his uncle.
Yeah.
Uncle Derek? No, Uncle Derek's from Hot Fuzz. Dennis?
Yes, Dennis Laws? No.
Dennis. I think it's Dennis Lawson.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I didn't want to sound like an idiot if I just like name drop someone who is completely not Wedge Antilles, but yeah, it's Dennis Lawson, I think.
Because doesn't he have like a crime show now?
He was in. Oh my god, he was in a British TV series. I don't know what he's in now.
That's why I'm asking you.
I think he was in a hospital show, like TV show called Holby City. For anyone in the UK, if you know what that is, he was in that for a very long time.
I'm not in the UK. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a soap opera but set in a hospital, essentially. Do you remember ER, the TV show ER?
I know of it. Yeah.
It's like that, but in
All right.
UK.
Oh, I know you don't like Finn's storyline, but the removal of the line of the maybe exchange, where he's like, "You blow them up today, they blow you up they blow you up today, fuck me, they blow you up today, you blow them up tomorrow. It's just business." And Finn says, "You're wrong," and it's originally, I think the line was the line in the script was, "I might yeah, but I'm wrong and rich," which was lame.
Terrible, yeah.
Very Star Wars though, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's like one of those clunky George Lucas lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, Del Toro was just like, "What if I just said maybe?" It was like, "Yeah, that's better." I feel like without that, or Phasma, or the Phasma Rebel Scum exchange, his sacrifice at the end doesn't feel as deserved.
I mean, I guess so, but I just think DJ is such a nothing character, which is a real shame because the actor's fantastic, and I do like the spin, the personality that he brought to the character, but the character's just, there's nothing to him. So the absence of any one line here or there, because it never really amounted to a greater purpose for me, like you're reading into it. That's how I take it anyway. I just saw that as a nothing storyline, get it out of the way. I didn't really care about Finn's sacrifice because they didn't really do anything with it. Had he have sacrificed himself, I think that would have definitely been more standout. That would have been more things to talk about, but instead it just incited a lot of Rose hate for me. So
well, you're gonna hate this then. There's a solution to, I think, to better set up the attempted the would-be sacrifice. And there's a deleted scene between Finn and, by the way, I'm doing the DJ thing.
Yeah, I got
it. No, between Finn and Rose after they escape on the ship, where Rose says, "So where are we going?" And Finn says, "Where we belong," and they go to Crate. That's it was cut because it's essentially just hammering in what he says to Phasma and the maybe thing. And even the maybe thing is arguable. I just fucking love the line, honestly. But speaking of Finn and Rose, why is she still injured after Finn's attempted sacrifice?
I guess she just got shot down as well, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're meant to infer from that.
Yes.
Did you think it was weird that a TIE fighter is the thing that shoots down Finn's speeder and not an AT-AT?
Yeah, but footage.
You see the green flash, which is a TIE fighter, and you see the targeting system, which is a TIE fighter. We don't see said TIE fighter at all. I swear I saw an edit where someone does it where like a red beam comes out from the AT-AT and clips him.
Honestly, you don't even need it. It wouldn't even be that hard. This is a time when I would have been okay with some Battlefront footage, because they're not AT-ATs, but they're guerrilla walkers.
Yeah.
Because the other ones are camel walkers, these ones are guerrilla walkers.
They're essentially AT-ATs.
They're in Battlefront 2 on Crate, and you could just take, if you got like the cinematic mod and just took a shot of one of them shooting, guess what? You've got something to shoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, as far as I guess movie is concerned, that's really all I have to say. Do you have any closing thoughts you'd want to say?
I think I've pretty much said everything. This hasn't changed my opinion on The Last Jedi. This hasn't sort of recaptured any magic for me in the movie. It was just an edit that I wanted to watch because of the curiosity and all the hype that's been built up around this thing for the best part of a year and a half now at this point. And I do think it was very disappointing. You watch how this thing's been dragged out, how, you know, Ivan's been always working on this in the background and trying to get it right and meticulous. And I see this now and I think that's the fruit of a year and a half's labor. Like we said, that you could work solidly on this for a week and pretty much get it out there, or two, maybe with a rotoscoping and stuff like that. But it wasn't worth the wait.
I know he did Akbar frame by frame.
Okay.
So I'll say I think Akbar alone probably would have taken at least a week if he worked on it for a few hours a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as the credits end, written and directed by people who actually love Star Wars. I'm just
That
gonna.
took me out of it. I hated that. Just keep the credits as they were.
Not completely, not keep them as they were, but include your titles re-edited by Ivan Ortega.
Yeah.
With the voice actors and everything. Keep that, but that one, I just want to point out, considering that the wide majority of this was still written and directed by Rian Johnson. Yeah, it was written by people who actually love Star Wars. Still, strangely enough, and I don't doubt that the people who also wrote and direct other things as far as the edit was concerned loved Star Wars, but. And I felt like the removal of Rian Johnson's name from the writing and directing point at the very beginning of the credits was pretty petty on Ivan's part. It kind of reminded me of this video I saw of a flat earther in Target. I don't know if you guys have Target in the UK.
No, we don't have a Target.
It's strange. It's a French company.
Oh, okay.
And it's a retail store. It's like it's kind of like if Tesco sold other things.
Okay.
If you he got a child's astronomy book. Did I say who it was, by the way?
No.
It was a flat earther.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
A flat earther in Target tearing apart a children's astronomy book that he didn't buy. And although I will point out that Rian Johnson's name does come up right before in loving memory of our Princess Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I think hang on, what? Okay, yeah. I jumped ahead with my closing thoughts in movie, talking about the deleted scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to point out also, I think that some of those deleted scenes that I felt really didn't need to be put in might have been put in because Rian Johnson took them out.
Oh, okay, as a spite. Okay.
Yeah, and
maybe.
For someone who talked so much shit about The Last Jedi, this edit is surprisingly Phantom edit.
Mm-hmm.
There's much more comedy than I expected would be in it, and it seems like, I guess that arguably could be because it's a follow-up to The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
But when Ivan was renaming it, he was saying well, this can't be The Last Jedi because it's not going to be called. It's not going to be The Last Jedi. It's a completely different movie. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he didn't change the name yet.
Yeah, that threw me the most. The last change that I did really like, actually, this is nostalgia in me. This is a part of Star Wars, even though it's not. It's a film company. The inclusion of 20th Century Fox fanfare at the start. That's part of every time I hear it, I think of Star Wars. That's a part of it to me. So it was nice to get that thrown back in there.
It's nice to get that thrown back in there. Should have had a Disney logo in it.
No.
I'm going to throw that there because I've seen Dig Modifications cut Heir to the Force, which has a 3D in the style of Fox logo, Disney Studios, with the lights and everything, and the.
No, I don't want Disney's name on there. Keep it separately. I don't want the.
But it okay.
I don't want the Disney castle what if
they did that, but more like the Fox fanfare?
No,
really,
I straight up don't want the Disney castle on. It's just like I don't want the Disney logo at the start of every Marvel movie.
But what if you replaced the Disney castle with Vader's castle on Mustafar?
No, I don't want it. I don't want what they're selling. Well, actually, I do, because I want everything that they're selling because it's merch and it's awesome.
I wish. Why do we do this after I moved all my lightsabers upstairs?
I know, it's cool. The thing that I was thinking of specifically was Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is a place that I definitely do want to go to, and I will in no way drop $200 to make my own lightsaber that I can keep and have for myself.
that's about your average price of a lightsaber like that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, do I just buy a replica of a lightsaber that I know I love, or do I make my own personal one at the most magical place on Earth? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But also, if you want to buy an actual replica of R2-D2 that moves and lights up and everything like that, and is made of the actual material he is from the film, if you've got a spare 25K, then you can buy him.
I'll be right back.
Oh shit! It's a standoff. Let's go.
Yeah, let's burst away and not do that again.
Yes, especially when our master is in dire fate at the hands of Darth Maul. Let's not do that.
I love the video that takes Obi-Wan running to save.
He falls into the pit.
He just falls in. Like they took the wide shot of Qui-Gon and Maul fighting, and just off from the shields, Obi-Wan falls in and just.
Does that mean Obi-Wan would have gone to the trash planet and got robot legs and gone insane?
Know that I am Jedi.
But yeah, like we're fucking talking. I don't know where this score is going to score against all the other fan edits that we've done so far.
Oh yeah, I should be adding those up, shouldn't I? Shut up. This one's very spaced out because of all the fucking notes, so I forget that there are other parts of this review. So
while you're doing that, I am going to do the phrase or word request of the week from your very dedicated viewer at home. She apparently likes my British accent and requests a number, not pertaining to her. If anyone else has any words they want to throw out and want to hear me saying my British accent, then sure, go for it. Today's is... Hang on, let me think of another one. Hang on, let me think of one.
She didn't actually think of one, but that's the message I got.
Yeah, so that's the one that we're getting for this week. Please get them in, though, for in 2 weeks' time where we do another one.
32 and a half, 33, 40. All right. I'm just going these section by section and adding them as I go. 49, 55. And 60, 65 and a half. So a total of 65 and a half.
Okay.
On Rotten JX Savvy. We still don't have a name for this show.
We don't, and it's great. I love that we don't have a name for it at this point.
Should we just try to figure out a way to name it? What the fuck is this called?
Well, that would be a good way for YouTube to demonetize everything. Hell, they probably demonetize this by now. I don't know.
I don't demonetize this. I don't even monetize this because, I don't ask for money for my edits and shit. Did I start doing this because I might have wanted to start asking? Maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna
have it anyway. Fuck, fuckity, fuck. There we go. That should get the YouTube censors on us right now.
Well, shit.
But yeah, that was the last. I feel like I'm doing your bit now. That was
the Last Jedi re-edit.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. And by Ivan Ortega or Film Fix. Is that what it is? With the yin yang?
Film Fix, isn't it? That's his company. His
shout out to alliteration. Listen, I can't judge.
That's dedication to your craft right there.
Bye.